Welcome to the Shreveport Connection with Tommy, and this report will be about Vegas pay-per-view and other happening news since I haven't posted any WWE news since last Sunday with the spoilers. Okay, WWE posted the following earlier this week. In accordance with its talent wellness program, WWE has suspended Heath Miller, otherwise known as Heath Slater, for 30 days effective immediately for his first violation of the company's policy. WWE Hall of Famer Rocky Johnson, Mick Foley, and others will be appearing at the Rocky Marciano Bullying We're Kicking event on October 20th. Well, that was a couple days ago at the Hard Rock Cafe in Times Square, New York City. Shane McMahon of WWE fame has lost a high-profile client in his sports management business. U.S. Open golf champion Rory McIlroy has left the international sports management firm that Shane works with in favor of Horizon Sports Management. For more on the story, read businessweek.com. The agency is owned by Andrew Chubby Chandler, but Shane is said to be a heavy investor in the company. Shane also popped up at a couple of major golf events with McIlroy earlier this year, such as the Masters held in my hometown of Augusta, Georgia. A few months back, Tommy Dreamer was working on some kind of TV show, apparently a non-wrestling project. Dreamer wrote the following on Twitter earlier this week. Quote, spoke to my producer, the show is finished. Tomorrow it will debut. Well, that was a couple of days ago. Let the fun begin, unquote. Word is the current season of WWE NXT Redemption will finally be coming to an end soon. How are they going to do that when they got too many people on the show to begin with and they ain't doing it like they should be? Because Redemption, they keep bringing people back and no eliminations. So, Marie suggested Friday on Facebook that she will be returning to action soon. Quote, she wrote, my body is doing great. Should be back between the ropes soon. Watch out. Unquote. Former Divas champion has been off TV since early August when she underwent surgery on August the 24th for an abdominal hernia. Former WCW United States champion Steve Mongo McMichael turned 54 years old on October 17th, 2011, earlier this week. Happy birthday to him. Triple H announced live to the SmackDown audience in Mexico City when they did their tapings last Sunday night, that Mil Mascaras will be inducted into the WWE Hall of Fame. WWE has released handheld footage of the announcement, which features an appearance by the legendary luchador. If you're not familiar with that, he is Alberto Del Rio's uncle. The dark match main event for SmackDown taping in Mexico City saw Alberto Del Rio and Randy Orton go at it until Cody Rhodes interfered. Sin Cara ended up making the save for the win. For Orton, I should say. And WWE did tryouts with several CMLL wrestlers while in Mexico this week. Word is that 7 notable names from the promotion were looked at by WWE. And they were also threatened if they did participate, they would be fired from CMLL. And there's a story about WWE superstar David Otunga not wanting to sign a prenuptial agreement with fiancée Jennifer Hudson is picked up in the new National Enquirer. The story notes that Otunga and Hudson, who is worth around $15 million, are in love, but he won't sign it. There was no mention of Otunga being a WWE superstar. Below is WWE's announcement regarding Mil Mascaras from their website. Mexico City. Triple H has announced that Mil Mascaras will be inducted into the WWE Hall of Fame's 2012 class in Miami in April. The announcement was made in Mil Mascaras' native country in front of the WWE Universe in Mexico City on last Sunday night. Mil Mascaras was the first masked luchador to compete in Madison Square Garden. The Mexican Square Circle legend also competed in 1997 Royal Rumble. That part I did not remember. ESPN posted a preview of their upcoming E60 special on Scott Hall and his troubles over the years. Stephanie McMahon spoke with ESPN about how much money it's costing to put Hall through rehab. And according to Kevin Nash, he's back in rehab with WWE's help. She said, it's the most amount of money WWE has ever spent on anyone. I just want Scott to get help and to decide for himself that he needs it. It makes me sad. I don't want anybody to pass away prematurely or otherwise, really. Scott was an incredibly talented performer, larger than life, charismatic. He's a father. He's a friend. I'm sure he means a lot to a lot of people, and it would be a shame for him to pass away. She also commented on how WWE takes care of their talents. Quote, in addition to that substance and abuse program, we also have cardiovascular testing. We do blood checks. We do physicals. We do concussion testing akin to the NFL. We're really about maintaining the health and well-being of our superstars, because without our superstars, we won't have a business. And she quotes about superstars of today. They're businessmen. They realize the healthier they maintain their bodies, the better that they are going to perform. The more money they're going to make, the more they're playing with their iPads and gaming devices, then they are going out hanging around the bars. Other stars interviewed for the special included Hulk Hogan, Eric Bischoff, Cody Rhodes, and others. WWE has launched a website dedicated to The Rock and John Cena showdown at WrestleMania 28 next April. The site can be accessed at CenaVSRock.wwe.com. Tickets for WrestleMania 28 go on sale November 5th. Former WWF Tag Team Champions, the Headbangers, have reunited and are working independent scene. The duo recently cut a series of promos challenging some of the top tag teams in the industry. WWE star Edge is scheduled to appear at the Paris Games Week event to promote WWE 12 video game on October 22nd in Paris, France. For more info on that event, visit ParisGamesWeek.com. And no sources were found from PWInsider.com and ProWrestling.net. WWE has announced the first show on the network next year will be called WrestleMania Rewind. That name won the vote on WWE's website last week with 39.32%. Other options were WrestleMania Revisited, WrestleMania Flashback, and WrestleMania Review. As noted before, 7 stars from the CMLL promotion in Mexico received a tryout on Sunday at SmackDown taping. It's being reported that a group of independent wrestlers and talents from Mexico's AAA promotion also received tryouts at the Raw taping on Saturday. Blacks and Cara will reportedly debut a new theme song called Curse on this Friday's episode of SmackDown. Well, that was earlier this week, so it should have already debuted. I couldn't tell the difference myself in it. Former WWE star Bob Hardcore Holly has announced plans for an autobiography. The Hardcore Truth it's called. He promises to share stories no one else will tell. Quote, my book will be different because it's about my life, pre-WWE days, and my perspective of the wrestling business. Holly told Slam Wrestling, I will talk about things no one has dared to talk about. It will be written in a very new, unique style, thanks to Ross Williams, who I've chosen to write my story. Well, I believe this book will be an interesting and entertaining read. You will definitely want to read this book, not only for what I'm going to share, but the exceptionally brilliant style of writing Ross uses when putting words on paper, unquote. The Hardcore Truth is expected to be released next spring. It will include stories on Cody Rhodes, Undertaker, Jeff Jarrett, Jerry Lawler, Triple H, Bret Hart, Shawn Michaels, Steve Austin, The Rock, and Vince McMahon, among others. Chad Dukes of 106.7, The Fan, DC's LeVar Arrington show, with Chad Dukes does a wrestling show called the Chad Dukes Wrestling Show on Friday nights. Well, last Friday, Dukes conducted an interview with Kevin Nash. During the interview, Nash answered questions on the initial confrontation between himself and Punk if his health was an obstacle in returning to the WWE, and if we would see a reprisal of the Punk Nash clashes. Here are some of the links into the interview and the entire show. Highlights from the interview are as follows. And it was my prediction that he will return at tonight's Vengeance, and guess what? Wait till I give the results. On CM Punk, Kevin Nash promo, well, he didn't have anything to do with CM Punk during the pay-per-view. Chad asked, they had the whole thing with you where you were being kind of disrespected by him, and they were blurring the lines between what was a shoot and what was a promo. How much I know you said you didn't want to work with the script, but they did give you a rough outline of what you were to say. Were you okay with everything that was said to you? Because you're a guy that did do things that you said. You established a pay scale. You made it so wrestlers could be paid more than they ever have before. You brought that credibility in, and I've felt that was so much. So there was so disrespect there. How much of that were you okay with, and how much of that was actually a shoot? Well, Nash says, well, the thing was, I understood my job was going in. My job wasn't to bury a baby face and come across more witty than he was, or anything like that. That wasn't what I was brought in to do. The old Kevin Nash would at anyone's cost, would have gotten over. As you get older and you're the best friend, and your best friend is very much in charge of the day-to-day process, and he looks at you and asks you to do something, so that's kind of what you do. Wow, they really got me hog-tied on this one. Then he was asked about a question on health. Nash says, CM Punk has on the back of his t-shirt, best in the world, you know. And I said to myself, a bunch of other people, you know, his shirt says best in the world. He's going to have to prove it if he's going to be to drag my 52-year-old carcass through 14 minutes of a match. And then he was asked about the future of CM Punk versus Kevin Nash match. Chad asked, do you think we'll get that match with you and Punk? I think a lot of people would like to see it. That come to fruition, though he is kind of doing the babyface thing with Hunter right now. You think he'll ever see the match? Nash says, absolutely. Rey Mysterio will be appearing at the Houston Autorama on November 25th in Houston, Texas from 2 p.m. until 4 p.m. Unknown what he's going to be doing. And WWE is billing the last man standing match on tonight's pay-per-view between John Cena and champion Alberto Del Rio as Cena's last chance at Del Rio and the title. After announcing Sin Cara versus Sin Cara mask versus mask match for this past week's SmackDown on Saturday, there was a big push within WWE not to take the match on Sunday at the SmackDown taping due to second guessing. The match ended up happening and will air on this Friday's did air on this past Friday's SmackDown. Hall's descent from a wrestling superstar to a broken man battling alcoholism and drug addiction, airing Wednesday night on ESPN, said it was WWE sent Hall to rehab multiple times and spent into 6 figures on efforts to help him get sober. It's the most amount of money that they spent on anyone, Stephanie said. And I've already said all that. Alex Riley stated on Twitter that he underwent an MRI on his hip earlier this week following WWE's tour of Mexico. He wrote, just got back from Mexico, had an MRI on hip. Nothing serious, we'll be back at it in a couple days. In the meantime, rest, weight room, ice, stretching, tape review, game planning, and creative thinking. And he said he may have maybe headed to the next live events that happened this weekend. I haven't seen any results that he actually made it. Former WWE star Bobby Lashley has signed a multi-movie picture deal with Sean Kane Films, which includes a role in Josh Turner's epic reality sequel, The Indie Wrestler 2. Shooting begins December 10th in Rossman, North Carolina. Former WCW talent Melissa Bellin, a.k.a. Nitro Girl Spice, if I'm not mistaken, isn't that Rey Mysterio's wife? Has been added to Wrestle Reunion, which takes place January 27th through the 29th at Los Angeles Airport, Westin Hotel, in Los Angeles, California. She'll also be participating in a bikini photo shoot at the event. WWE officials have been talking about breaking Michael McGillicuddy away from David Otunga, which they've already done. The idea would be to repackage him and focus more on him being a third-generation wrestler again, which I should have started doing anyways. If you didn't know that, well, that's Mr. Perfect Kurt Hennig's son, and possibly he'd be going back under the name of Joe Hennig. And word is that a few of the top names within the WWE are backing McGillicuddy. November 19th, Tommy Dreamer, Chris Masters, and Sean Waltman are scheduled for the UCW Slamboree event in Greenville, South Carolina. WWE is looking for a new local arena promoter for the Pacific Northwest region. Wrestling legend Danny Hodge was backstage at Raw Super Show in Oklahoma City. To a lot of the talents, it was a big deal to meet Hodge. The 1,000th episode of WWE's Raw will take place on July 30th, 2012. Jack Swagger and his wife, Catalina White, former WWE developmental talent, welcomed a baby boy named Knots Stribling Hager into the world on October 17th. Congratulations, Jake Hager, real name. Yeah, that's Jack Swagger for those that don't know. WWE is advertising Booker T as a special referee for a 6-man tag match at the live event show in Wilkes-Barre, Pennsylvania on November 22nd. The match features Randy Orton, Big Show, and Sheamus versus Mark Henry, Christian, and Cody Rhodes. Possible spoiler from the pay-per-view during that advertisement. And will likely serve as a dark match main event for SmackDown taping. And that credit goes to .NET reader John Glenn. Former WWE superstar Gangrel tweeted earlier this week he was in a motorcycle accident and he was waiting on police. He got T-boned on his Harley. Life is sucking with an early flight in the morning. He posted a few hours later. Thanks for all the techs in the hospital getting X-rays. Should be okay. Just sore as hell. Road rash and a very jacked up elbow. And that's basically all the reports. Other than he was in the right of way, another car struck him on his motorcycle, making a turn. Former WWE superstar Nelson Big Daddy V Frazier is now working for the All Japan promotion under the name of Big Daddy. The last reports I've heard of him, he had walking pneumonia a couple times. Well, I'm glad he's back in pretty good health. WWE 2011 Night of Champions pay-per-view has been officially released on DVD in North America. Dark match before this past Sunday's SmackDown tapings in Mexico City saw Justin Gabriel defeat Heath Slater. Wow, former NXT and Nexus members went at it. And tag team partners. As noted before, several CMLL, AAA, and independent wrestlers worked tryouts when they were in Mexico this past week. Regarding CMLL, 7 talents like I said, they had implied threats. If anyone was found that they worked the tryout, they would be suspended and fired from the promotion. Joey Styles tweeted, Freebird Michael P.S. Hayes is in Stamford today, earlier this week, to shoot Legends of Wrestling for Classics on Demand. Chris Jericho tweeted, my guest this week on The Rock of Jericho is Eddie Trunk. We also talk Escape the Fate and hear the craziest DT riff ever. Saturday, 5 Eastern, XM 164 radio. Regarding the recent WWE tryouts in Mexico, it's been reported that Dr. Wagner III, High G Haji Dale, La Park, and Bestia 666 were some of the stars who got the tryouts. They are the sons of their famous fathers. Apparently, they got the tryouts at the bequest of Rey Mysterio, who was pretty close to all their fathers. Brazilian wrestler Zumbi is also rumored to have worked a tryout. Word is that the 7 CMLL guys who got tryouts on Sunday, one has been offered a deal, but it's unknown if they accepted it or not. Shawn Michaels posted a statement on Twitter regarding ESPN's piece on Scott Hall, which aired Wednesday evening on E60. He wrote, "For your info, I did not see the piece on Scott. Scott, Kev, Kid, and Hunter are all my friends. Sharing our personal info or insight on here ain't happening. Much like when you ask me my opinion on Raw or other wrestlers, I don't do it. The net is flooded with all kinds of opinions. I don't think you need one more." Unquote. Vince McMahon is said to be high on Cody Rhodes after lacking faith in the second generation wrestler in the past. Reportedly, the WWE head would not comment or commit to promoting Rhodes as a top-level star because he felt he overreacts. Jim Ross wrote that Hall of Famer Jerry Briscoe suffered a stroke yesterday. Well, this was earlier this week. It was a mild stroke. Quote, "Jerry Briscoe had a minor stroke earlier this week. I love you. Please keep him in your prayers." Unquote. Scott Hall turned 53 years old on October 20th, 2011. The Rock, who was playing Roadblock, noted on Twitter on October 20th that they are filming the final scene for the G.I. Joe 2 movie. WWE Spanish broadcast team member Hugo Savinovich announced on YouTube that he is no longer working for WWE. Since his contract ended, then he left. .NET reader Liam Jordan reported that he stated that he was informed by WWE that his contract was expiring and it would not be renewed. Savinovich thanked Vince McMahon for giving him the opportunity to work with the organization after battling the drug addiction. I did see the video. I don't understand that much Spanish, other than Yo quiero Taco Bell. As for any future plans, Savinovich says he doesn't know whether or not he will be calling any wrestling matches anymore, but he stated that he will soon start writing a book that will be dedicated to spreading the word of God. You can view his official announcement on the YouTube Fans WWE. Fans WWE in Espanol. The nearly 6-minute video featured Hugo speaking in Spanish about his departure. Based on what Liam wrote, it appears that Hugo isn't burning any bridges on his way out. Mick Foley is scheduled for the November 14th edition of Raw. 3-hour show will be held in Boston, Massachusetts at the TD Garden. This is the Rock reunion show and has been widely assumed that Foley would appear on the show. WWE has now made that official, thanks to Not Reader Sean Kelly for passing that along. WWE officials brought FCW talent Tito Colon on the road this weekend with them, and at last night's Super Show, he teamed with his cousin Primo Colon, and there's a new tag team, and they lost to the Uso brothers. WWE wanted to see how the two would work as a tag team for the main roster. Well, if you didn't know, they've worked in their father's organization many times. And they had planned it for a stable with Carlito, but Carlito was released a while back. Zack Ryder is doing a contest on Twitter where the person that best dressed up in a Ryder Halloween costume will win a package of autographed Ryder merchandise. Tweet your pics to Ryder at Zack Ryder. 4 runner-ups will receive signed 8x10s. Following the Black Sun Carl losing his mask on this past SmackDown, WWE's website published an article looking at how bad it is for a luchador to lose his mask. Rey Mysterio, who was demasked in WCW but not acknowledged in the article, commented on Cara losing his mask. On Friday's episode of Friday Night SmackDown, original Sin Cara defeated Black Sin Cara in a mask match, unmasking the former Hunico. WWE has made it clear yet where the Sin Cara storyline will go from here, but there was talk about continuing the feud between the two for several months. Here's what Ray was quoted with saying: "There's a tradition, a heritage, a pride to your mask. Masks have been a Mexican tradition for many generations. It's a way to pay homage to our heritage. Being unmasked is the biggest dishonor for a luchador," unquote. WWE fans have voted and named the Divas road trip for the new WWE network in 2012. WWE has announced that WWE Divas Heels on Wheels will be the name of the show. Word is that WWE will be debuting Brodus Clay on Raw in a few weeks. The plan is to keep airing the vignettes of him until he debuts. Then they have him work both brands. Dark match before the pay-per-view tonight saw Wade Barrett defeat Money in the Bank winner Daniel Bryan. Doesn't say how. Well, William Regal defeated Ace Steel at a WLW show in Eldon, Montana last night for the annual Harley Race training camp. Hall of Famers Ricky Dragon Steamboat was also there and giving feedback, possibly for further upcoming talent to become stars for WWE. Several WWE superstars took on Twitter tonight prior to the pay-per-view, including JR, who noted he was watching from home. Vicky Guerrero quoted at the end of the night, "At last I still have some gold. Great job at Heel Ziggler for U.S. champion," unquote. Nataya's quoted by saying, "I guess I'll be watching at the Beth Phoenix backstage. I'm so mad. Kelly is such a whiner. Thanks for ruining my night. At Real Kelly Kelly," unquote. Zack Ryder quotes, "Sorry, broskies," unquote. JR quotes, "Amazing impact. San Antonio crowd came alive, showing Henry both down. So is the ring. Looks like Henry show might be a no decision. Chaos." Well, I called it a draw in my eyes. ADR beat Cena to retain WWE title. Well, with help from Miz and Truth. Very physically intense match. Two sore dudes. Tomorrow, Nasty Crash by Triple H to take supersized powerbomb from at Real Kevin Nash. Cringeworthy, unquote. And he's also said U.S. title means less when commentary versus veers off course. Could somehow be feeding Cole those untimely, lame JR jokes. Nah, unquote. And he also says The Rock also commented on WWE Survivor Series pay-per-view tonight. "Time to electrify NYC and Madison Square Garden like never before at Survivor Series. Pound boots to asses. Pound the People's Champion," unquote. Former WWE diva Serena suffered a nasty concussion at recent Shimmer TV tapings. She says her doctors have advised her never to wrestle again, to think about other lines of work, and she is out of action indefinitely. She noted on Twitter that she has more tests coming this week and wrote the following message, quote, "A message to all my supporters. I recently sustained a rather serious concussion, and following my doctor's instructions, will not wrestle for a period of time. I apologize to those who were looking forward to seeing me anytime in the near future. I will keep you all posted," unquote. Former Tough Enough winner Daniel Puder is promoting an anti-bullying event. The event takes place Saturday at 3 p.m. in Burbank, California at the AMC 16 at Burbank Promenade. What a waste of Tough Enough winner. How many matches, or did he even have any matches after he won the Tough Enough contract? Does anybody know? Well, send me comments. WWE has applied for registrations on 2 trademarks names, Ryback and Avalanche. The registration of the Ryback trademark suggests that Skip Sheffield will be repackaged with a new character upon his return from injury. Prior to assuming the cowboy persona in WWE's developmental system, he appeared as Ryback in an indestructible Terminator-style character built from the future. WWE Tough Enough winner Andy Levine also was working the door at last night's FCW show in Kissimmee, Florida. Levine was collecting ticket stubs from fans entering the building. And that's what he's been doing since his winning Tough Enough. Or losing Tough Enough, whatever. Winning Tough Enough. So to me, that Tough Enough so far is a waste of time. CM Punk appeared at last night's FCW show signing autographs after Dean Ambrose, Jon Moxley character, defeated Yuko Takazawa. They cut a promo which brought out CM Punk to set up that main event. Punk defeated Ambrose in a match that went over 20 minutes. Several fans in attendance called it the best match of FCW's history. Punk also cut a promo after the match. Sin Cara versus Sin Cara feud continued at last night's Super Show in Texas. The two went at it with the original Blue Sin Cara defeating the unmasked Sin Cara. Zack Ryder noted on Twitter that his Take Care, Spike Your Hair shirts are officially sold out for good on WWE Shop website. However, he has a new Are You Serious Bro WWE Authentic t-shirt available. What you've all been waiting for now is your Vengeance pay-per-view results. 2011 opens with a video package looking at the events over the past few weeks, including Big Show's return to battle, Mark Henry, Triple H losing his power on Raw, and Alberto Del Rio versus John Cena. The theme is everyone's getting their vengeance. And we're live from AT&T Center in San Antonio, Texas, as Michael Cole welcomes us to Vengeance. He's joined by Jerry the King Lawler and Booker T on commentary. First match, WWE Tag Team titles, Dolph Ziggler and Jack Swagger versus Airborne. We go to the ring, Vicky Guerrero says, excuse me. Introduces Jack Swagger. Swagger makes his way to the ring and she introduces United States champion Dolph Ziggler. And out he comes. Out next comes the tag team champions Evan Bourne and Kofi Kingston. Dolph starts things out with Kofi. They lock up and trade blows. Or trade holds. Ziggler with an early pin attempt. Takedown by Ziggler and a headlock. Ziggler drops Kofi with a shoulder. Kofi leapfrogs on Ziggler with a back elbow. Kofi leaps onto Dolph in the corner. Flips him across the ring for a 2 count. Bourne comes in and drop kicks Ziggler for another 2. Ziggler fights back and tags in Swagger. Swagger gets rolled up for a 2. Bourne kicks in and Bourne with kicks and a tag to Kofi. They double team Swagger and Kofi covers for another pin attempt. Kofi works over Swagger in the corner and tags in Bourne again. They hit a double drop kick and Bourne covers for a 2. Another tag to Kofi and more double teaming from the champs. 2 count by Kofi. Kofi with an uppercut in the corner. Kofi goes for the crossbody, but Swagger catches him, slams him into the mat. Ziggler comes in and covers Kofi for a 2. Ziggler and Kofi go at it now. Ziggler connects with a drop kick to the jaw for a pin attempt. Kofi fights back, but Dolph drops him with an elbow. Swagger comes in off the tag and puts Kofi back down. Swagger charges it with a shoulder block. Swagger with a headlock now, and Vicky looks on. Kofi fights out of the hole and ducks a clothesline to tag in Bourne. Bourne comes in with a head scissor takedown and a series of kicks on Swagger. A knee to the face. Tags Swagger down. Bourne knocks Dolph off the apron and kicks Swagger again for a close 2. Bourne leaps off the top as Dolph charges on the apron. Bourne lands on his feet, knocks Dolph off, and he goes back to the top. He goes for Airborne, but Swagger puts his knees up. Dolph comes back in on a tag and covers Bourne for a 2 as Kofi breaks it up. Dolph with a chin lock on Bourne now. Bourne reaches for a tag, but Dolph stops him. Bourne rolls Ziggler up out of nowhere for a 2. Ziggler counters it for 2 and hits a big clothesline on Bourne. Another pin attempt by Dolph. Swagger comes in on a tag and stomps on Bourne. Ziggler kicks Bourne as the referee isn't looking. Swagger comes out of the corner with a big splash for a 2. Bourne tries to fight out of a hole, but Swagger beats him down. Swagger hits Kofi, but he blocks it and returns the shot. Bourne rolls Swagger up for a 2. Swagger goes for an ankle lock, but Bourne blocks it. Tosses Swagger out of the corner. Ziggler distracts the referee while Swagger hits Kofi, stopping the tag. Swagger comes in and tags Ziggler. They double team Bourne again while the referee isn't looking. Dolph with a neck breaker and another tag to Swagger. Swagger stomps on Bourne and poses as the crowd boos. Bourne fights back with a kick, but Swagger scoops him and slams him to the mat. Swagger runs into the corner again for the big splash, but Bourne puts his knees up. Kofi and Dolph come in at the same time. Kofi unloads on Dolph with kicks. Dolph blocks SOS and shoves him to the corner. Kofi kicks Dolph and Swagger kicks Dolph and Swagger in the head. Kofi goes up top and comes down with a big crossbody for a close 2. Kofi hits a boom drop. Ziggler ducks Trouble in Paradise, but Kofi hits the SOS. Swagger breaks the pin. Kofi goes for the Trouble in Paradise, but Swagger turns it into the ankle lock. Bourne takes Swagger out with the knees from the top. Ziggler runs up and rolls Kofi up for a 2 count. Kofi connects with the Trouble in Paradise. Tags in Bourne. Bourne hits Airborne for the win. Immediately after the match, announces Zack Ryder's coming out for the immediate United States title match. So Zack Ryder again facing Zack Ryder is facing Mikey from, if you didn't know, that Ziggler was Mikey from the Spirit Squad. As Zack's music hits, it comes out for his next match. As the opener was over, Dolph is still recovering from the loss. As Ryder hits the ring, the bell rings, and they go at it. Still at ringside, Jack Swagger's there in support for his man. And Kofi and Bourne are also still at ringside. Ryder unloads on Ziggler in the corner. Ryder with a big clothesline for a 2. Air booms. Swagger and Vicky look on from ringside. Ryder launches Ziggler hard into the corner and covers him for a 2. Ziggler fights back as the crowd chants for Ryder. Ryder makes a comeback, but Dolph escapes out to the floor and starts to crawl away. Kofi and Bourne grab him and throw him back in the ring. The referee tells Ryder to back off Dolph and ordered Air Boom to return to the locker room. You're banned from ringside. Vicky waves by to them as the crowd chants Vicky sucks. Ryder continues the offense on Ziggler and he drops him hard on his face for another 2. Ryder misses a splash and hits hard on the ropes. Ziggler stomps on Ryder and drops a big elbow for a 2 count. Ziggler grounds Ryder to the mat with a hold now. Ziggler with another big elbow drop and gets a 2 count. Ziggler hits a big splash in the corner and the Ryder comes back down. Vicky cheers on as Swagger taunts the crowd. Ziggler misses the next splash in the corner. Ryder misses a running boot to the head as Ziggler moves. Ziggler hits the big leg drop but Ryder kicks out at 2. Ziggler beats Ryder down in the corner as the ref tells him to back off. Ryder runs and kicks Ziggler in the head. Swagger runs over and pulls Ryder's leg. While the referee wasn't looking, Ryder kicks him in the back. Ryder blocks a sleeper from Ziggler and kicks off Swagger again. Ryder turns around to a super kick from Ziggler from the distraction by Swagger. Ziggler connected and covered for Ryder for the pin. CM Punk was backstage talking to Ted Jr. about something when Triple H walks in. Punk understands that someone forced Triple H to leave on Raw with the deportation debacle. They talked about their match tonight and they walk off together. Divas title match is up next, Eve versus Beth. And both Natalya and Kelly are banned from ringside. Since there was a fight backstage, both of them were not allowed As they show footage of Kelly being interviewed when Beth attacked her. Natalya and the other divas taunted Kelly and Beth and held her against the wall. Eve made the save, and divas brawl broke out backstage. Eve Torres makes her way out first. Cole says that John Laurinaitis banned Natalya and Kelly from ringside. Bell rings and they lock up. So Beth was the first one out, actually. Going at it hard in the lockup. Eve ends up on top and hits Beth with a couple right hands. Eve comes off the top with a roll up for 2. Beth fights back and knocks Eve down for a 2 count. Eve fought back after another pin attempt, and they trade holds. They come out of another lockup with Beth hitting a right hand and a forearm shot. Eve connects with an enziguri and kicks Beth into the ropes. Eve cuffs Beth in the middle rope using part of her outfit. Eve wails away with kicks on Beth as the referee backs her off. He breaks Beth free, but she runs into a forearm from Eve. Beth goes to the floor and Eve follows. Beth knocks Eve down on the apron. Beth presses Eve over her head on the floor and drops Eve face first on top of the fan barrier. Beth with kicks on Eve before whipping her into the apron hard. Beth brings it back in the ring for a 2 count. Beth takes it to the mat with an abdominal stretch. Eve broke free, but Beth catches her with a gut buster for another 2. Beth with her leg scissors now, and Beth slaps Eve in the head and tells her to cry as the hold is locked in. Beth continues slapping and taunting Eve. Eve fights free eventually and mounts Beth with right hands. Eve with kicks to the face and a clothesline. Eve with a backsplash for a 2. Eve with right hands. Beth runs into an elbow. Eve ends up on Beth's back with her legs wrapped around her. She keeps it locked and brings Beth to the mat in a submission hold. Beth makes it into the ropes and breaks the hold. This move was kind of looked like it was painful. There's a scissor hold where they kind of like bending, whatever it was. Looked kind of painful. Well, of course it's acting. Don't tell nobody. Eve slams Beth's head into the turnbuckle. Beth turns around and they come back in the ring. Eve counters a glam slam, and they trade clothespin attempts. Beth runs into an elbow in the corner. Eve connects with a big kick to the head. Eve goes to the top but misses the moonsault. As Beth rolls out of the way, Beth connects with a glam slam. But time for the win. Big Show is backstage with Matt Striker. Show talks about Mark Henry and says he's going to take the World Heavyweight title tonight. Then watch the House of Pain crumble. Vengeance will be mine, and so will the World Heavyweight Championship, he says. Next up is Sheamus versus Christian. They go to the ring out. First comes Christian. Sheamus is out next with a nice reaction. Christian stalls and walks around the ring before finally entering. The bell rings and Christian slaps Sheamus. They go to the corner and Christian unloads a right hand. Sheamus powers out, beats Christian into the mat before slamming him. Sheamus drops an elbow. Christian smacks him again and Sheamus connects with her shoulder. Sheamus takes Christian to the corner and beats him down with stomps. Sheamus continues the attack and wails away with forearm shots to the chest on the apron. Wham! 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 Sheamus with a tall standing suplex and a 2 count. Then Christian fights back with a neck breaker and stomps on Sheamus. Christian with right hands, backing Sheamus up into the corner. Sheamus fights back from his knees, but Christian knocks him back down and chokes him with the bottom rope with his foot. Sheamus comes back with a shoulder thrust in the corner. Sheamus charges and misses, hitting the ring post. Christian rolls Sheamus up for a 2 count. Back and forth action. Christian trips Sheamus and chokes him on the ropes again. Christian with an elbow off the second rope for a 2 count. Christian misses a headbutt from the top as Sheamus moves. Sheamus comes back with a clothesline and a big slam. Sheamus catches Christian off the second rope and slams him for a 2 count. Sheamus tries to suplex Christian in from the apron, but he fights it off. Sheamus charges and Christian pulls the rope down, sending him out to the floor. Sheamus makes his way back in the ring with a shoulder over the top rope. Gets a close 2 count. Christian slides out of a press slam and hits a right hand. Sheamus hits a clothesline in the corner. Christian counters for a 2. Christian goes for the kill switch, but Sheamus blocks it. He goes for his finisher, but Christian blocks that. They end up in the corner, and Sheamus blocks a kick. Sheamus with a knee drop and another 2 count. Sheamus blocks a quick kill switch again, but Christian blocks the Celtic cross. Christian with a kick in the corner. Sheamus catches Christian's cross body with an Irish curse backbreaker for a pin attempt. Sheamus goes for the rogue kick, but Christian blocks it with a spear for a close 2 count. Yeah, he kicked out at 2. Sheamus fights his way back from the ring apron as with a knee to the head, Sheamus climbs up to the top, but Christian stops him. Christian with right hands. Christian climbs up and brings Sheamus down to the mat with a Hurricane Rana. Christian ready for a spear, but Sheamus blocked it and nails him with a road kick for the win. And Booker T says, I've never seen that been done before. He kicks out of the road kick. He kicks out of the kill switch. Never seen that before. Okay, whatever. Winner of the match, Sheamus. David Otunga is backstage talking with John Laurinaitis. Laurinaitis said he came up with a Vengence pay-per-view idea himself. In the name of the pay-per-view, Miz and R-Truth walk up. Miz says he has their word that they will follow the rules. Truth asks why he reinstated him. Well, David Otunga's walking off. Laurinaitis puts them over and believes that they could be the world's greatest tag team ever. Not really, he says. But he likes the way they suck up. Laurinaitis walks off. This is the funniest segment of the pay-per-view. Truth says he sucks up better than The Miz does. But Miz disagrees. They start ripping on Triple H and CM Punk. Truth says the state of Texas also sucks. They do their own handshake before walking off. Get a promo showing events leading up to tonight's big tag team match. The Miz and R-Truth versus CM Punk and Triple H with a surprise ending. Not very much surprising. I predicted this months ago. Out first comes the team of Miz and R-Truth rapping out about how everyone sucks. A combination with Miz's music and his. R-Truth's music. CM Punk is out next, followed by Triple H. Both nice reactions from the crowd. Bell rings and the Miz and Punk start things off. They go to lock up and Miz backs in the corner. Punk backs Miz in the corner and Triple H slaps him in the head. Punk takes Miz down and kicks him. Punk tags in Triple H and Miz runs away. Tags in Truth. They lock up and Triple H applies a headlock. Triple H with a big shoulder knocking Truth down. They lock up again and Triple H takes control. Miz does the shot and does a split, but Triple H knocks him down with a right hand. Triple H throws a crotch chop and rams Truth's head into Punk's boot. Punk is tagged in and continues the attack on Truth. 2 count for Punk. Miz comes in, but Punk takes him down. Punk works Miz over and tags Triple H back in. They go back and forth. Triple H goes for the figure 4, locks it in. Punk pulls on Triple H's arms for more leverage as the referee isn't looking. Does this many times. Triple H keeps the hold locked in and they double team when the referee isn't looking again. Punk gets tagged in and they continue working on Miz's legs. 2 count for Punk. Punk works on Miz's arm now. Miz breaks free and Truth drops Punk while the referee is distracted. Truth comes in on a tag. They stomp away on Punk. Truth drops Punk with a right hand for a pin attempt and then a headlock. Punk breaks free and slams Truth, looking for the pin. Triple H comes in and takes Truth down with a knee to the face. Must have been the high knee, I believe. He pulls Miz into the ring and hits a spine buster on Truth. Triple H with a knee to the face on Miz. He clotheslines them both over the top rope and onto the floor. Triple H pulls Truth back in the ring, but Miz stops him from re-entering. Miz stomps on Triple H in the corner now. More double teaming and a pin attempt by Truth. Truth with a headlock on Triple H now. Truth ducks the clothesline and hits a corkscrew elbow for a 2 count. Miz comes in off a tag and they double team Triple H in the corner. Miz with a high knee to the face. Gets a 2 count. Miz with a headlock now. Triple H tries to fight back, but Miz hits the backbreaker, neckbreaker combo, and continues the attack. Truth comes in on a tag. Then they both kick Triple H in the head. Another 2 count. Truth with a head scissors now. Triple H stands up with Truth on his shoulders and slams him back onto the mat. Miz comes in, but Triple H connects with a big clothesline. Truth is tagged in, but misses a scissor kick. Triple H nails a DDT on Truth and crawls for a tag. Punk comes in with a springboard clothesline on Miz and a drop kick on Truth. Punk with a neck breaker on Miz and a knee to the jaw in the corner on Truth. Punk takes out both Truth and Miz at once with a bulldog clothesline combo and covers Miz for a 2. Punk slams Miz and goes to the top. Punk kicks off Truth on the apron. Triple H comes over and goes at it with Truth, throwing him over the fan barrier. Punk goes back up top and hits the Macho Man big elbow drop. Punk calls for the GTS as we see Triple H working over Truth on the floor. Kevin Nash appears in the crowd and knocks Triple H back, distracting Punk. Miz tries to attack Punk. But Punk goes for the GTS. Truth breaks it up and lays Punk out with his finisher. Miz covers Punk for the win. After the match, Nash comes over the barrier and brings Triple H. Nash beats him down and whips him into the steel steps. Nash brings Triple H into the ring and nails him with knees to the gut. Into the corner, Nash with a big clothesline. Nash lays Triple H out with a jackknife powerbomb and exits the ring as officials come over. Nash leads to the crowd as they boo him. Triple H is knocked out in the ring as the referees tend to him as they go to replays. It takes Triple H a while to start moving, and they show several replays of how he landed on his neck from the powerbomb. The announcers wonder if he may have some kind of neck injury. Triple H is helped to the back by the referees. John Laurinaitis is backstage on the phone, and he says he will take care of what happened. WWE Champion Alberto Del Rio and Ricardo Rodriguez are there. Del Rio's complaining he should be the top priority and isn't happy about Cena making the last man standing stipulation. Laurinaitis reminds Del Rio he won his first cell match and tells Del Rio tonight he has an opportunity. Del Rio says, right, that's why he's the WWE Champion and Cena isn't. Laurinaitis says it's his job to make the best show possible. Del Rio walks off as Laurinaitis wishes him good luck. Next up is Cody Rhodes versus Randy Orton. Go to the ring, Randy Orton's first out, and then your Intercontinental Champion, Cody Rhodes, non-title match. They lock up, but Cody stalls a bit. Cody goes for Orton's leg, but Orton fights back with her right hands and clotheslines. Cody turns around, goes for a bulldog, but Orton pushes him off. Orton sends Cody out to the floor and follows him. Orton knocks him into the steps and brings it back in the ring. Cody misses a kick from the second rope, and Orton drops him for a 2. Cody hits the right hand from the floor and comes back in and stomps on Orton. Cody drops Orton on his face and comes off the second rope with a knee to the neck. Cody continues the control of the match until Orton comes out in the corner with right hands. Cody comes off of a whip in the corner with a clothesline for a 2. Cody takes Orton back to the mat and applies a headlock. Orton fights with a big backdrop, but Cody kicks him back to the mat. Another 2 count for Cody. Cody continues and applies a Boston Crab. Orton dodges a spear in the corner, makes a comeback. They trade shots, and Cody slams Orton's back on his head. 2 count for Cody. Cody goes up top and misses a moonsault on Orton. As Orton moves out of the way, Orton with a clothesline and a big power slam. Cody goes back up top. Orton stops him in midair with a drop kick. 2 count for Orton. Cody slides out of a power bomb and hits a beautiful disaster kick for a 2 count. Cody blocks the draping DDT, but Orton connects with a backbreaker for another pin attempt. Orton with another big slam and pin attempt. Orton takes Cody up to the top rope. Cody fights him off and knocks him back to the mat. Cody connects with a moonsault, but Orton kicks out at 2. Cody goes back to the second rope, comes down, but Orton moves. Orton with a big uppercut. One of the baggers gets on the apron to distract Orton, but Orton hits him. Cody hits the crossroads, but Orton kicks out at 2. Cody drops to the mat like Orton does and mocks him. Cody goes for an RKO, but Orton drop kicks him. Orton hits the second rope draping DDT and drops him to the mat. The other bagger distracts Orton, but Cody accidentally knocks him off the apron. Cody turns around to an RKO for Orton for the win. We get a promo for tonight's World Heavyweight title match. Henry versus Big Show. Big Show was on the way out first, then Mark Henry. Bell rings and they charge it into a lockup. Henry pushes Show off and he runs right back. Locking up again, Henry takes it to the corner. Show blocks him and wails away with body shots and punches to the head. Henry goes down and Show stomps on him. Henry flees the ring and regroups on the floor. Henry comes to the apron. Show brings him over the top rope and into the ring. Show with a big super kick to Henry. Henry goes back to the floor. Henry demands his world title belt and goes to walk off. Show stops him and brings it back in the ring. Show comes in and Henry takes out Big Show's knee. Henry scoop slams Show and drops a big elbow. Henry works on Show's knee and drops another big elbow on it. Henry locks the body scissors on Show's leg. Henry continues dropping elbows and working over Show's hurt leg. Show fights out, but his leg goes out and he goes back down. Henry with a 2 count. Henry goes right back to work on Show's leg and knee. Show fights Henry off again and the crowd chants for him. They both charge with clotheslines and collide and go down. They get to their knees and trade headbutts. They get to the feet. Show hits a series of headbutts and a clothesline, knocking Henry down. Another clothesline by Show. Show continues to run over Henry as the crowd pops. Show scoop slams Henry and calls for the choke slam. Show nails it, but Henry kicks out at 2. Show signals for the WMD knockout punch, but Henry blocked it. Henry nails the world's strongest slam for a 2. Henry's mad because Show kicked out. Again, Booker T's on commentary saying, "Oh, that's the first kick out of the world's strongest slam." Henry goes to the top rope, but Show meets him. Show choke slam Henry from the top rope and covers him, but Henry manages to kick out at 2. Show goes up to the top rope again now, but Henry meets him at the same time. Henry hits a huge superplex, which ends the match, collapsing in the ring. The crowd goes nuts as Henry and Show both lay out. Referee also falls down. Everyone is shocked as the ring collapsing on one entire side. We got one corner post just falls down like it's plastic, and the other one just falls as well. So you got two sides of the ring down, and that sets up your final match of the evening, and they have to wrestle with the ring dismembered. They go back to replays, and the trainers in the ring, they check on them to bring the carts out since stretchers won't fit on them. Basically, Henry and Teddy Long and John Laurinaitis are coming down. Laurinaitis calls for the cart come out to carry Big Show off, and they do. Teddy Long pleads with Mark Henry to let them help him to the back. Henry still complaining because he don't need no help. He's the world's strongest man. He don't need no help. Then they go to the video. See, John Laurinaitis is still there, ensuring that the fan takes the mic and introduces himself. He says, no matter what the injuries to Show and Henry are, no matter what the damage is to the ring, he's going to give us what they want, what the fans want. WWE title match is still on for tonight. He announces. Laurinaitis thanks the fans, and he walks off. Then they get a video looking at the feud between Cena and Alberto Del Rio, last man standing match, which means basically anything can happen, even with the ring dismembered. Ricardo Rodriguez introduces Alberto Del Rio, driving into the arena in a Rolls Royce. John Cena's music hits out to a pretty good pop. Bell rings and Del Rio shows Ricardo into Cena. Cena goes for an attitude adjustment on Ricardo, but Del Rio attacks him. Del Rio beats Cena down and suplexes him. Del Rio with a big boot to the head and kicks to the back. Referee counts Every time Cena is down, Del Rio kicks Cena and he rolls out of the ring, and as the ropes are also down from the ring collapsing, Del Rio continues the assault on the floor and throws Cena into the ring post. Del Rio brings it back to the ring. Del Rio blocks him with a backdrop. Cena slams Del Rio and drops a series of elbow drops. Cena fires away with right hands, but Del Rio kicks him to the mat. Del Rio with a trio of back suplexes. Not back suplexes, they are snap suplexes. But Cena makes it up before the 10 count. Cena gets up, hits Del Rio with a clothesline, but both go down. Cena goes for an attitude adjustment, but Del Rio blocks it and he drops Cena back over his knees. Del Rio goes back to work on Cena and hits a suplex and another. Del Rio goes for a third, but Cena blocks it and hits one of his own. Cena hits Del Rio with a shoulder blocks and then the back suplex. Cena goes for a 5-knuckle shuffle, but there's no ropes. So he just does a standing 5-knuckle shuffle. He drops it anyways and goes for the AA. Del Rio blocks it and hits a German suplex. Cena comes back with a gut wrench suplex of his own. Del Rio ducks the clothesline and catches Cena in a backbreaker. Cena makes it up before the 10 count. Thanks to Del Rio continuing the attack. Del Rio puts Cena under the ring post. That is knocked down. Runs and stomps on it. Cena makes it up at the 8 count. Del Rio charges, but Cena hits him with an AA. And both of them go down. Cena's up first. Del Rio is up at 8. Cena goes for another AA, but Ricardo runs in and stops it. Cena knocks him out of the ring. Cena turns around to a shot from Del Rio. Del Rio goes for the sleeper and finally locks it in, wrapping his legs around Cena. Del Rio keeps his sleeper locked in until Cena goes out. Del Rio breaks the hold as the referee begins the 10 count. Cena gets up, throws Del Rio out of the ring. Cena, since there's no ropes, and into the fan barrier, Cena follows and to the floor and continues attack on Del Rio. Del Rio blocks the whip and throws Cena into the ring steps. Ricardo tries to get involved, but Cena drops him over the down ring post, crotches him, so he's out for a few minutes or seconds, hitting him hard between his legs, kind of like an atomic drop. They come back in the ring involved, but Cena drops. They come back in the ring. Del Rio takes back control over Cena. Del Rio charges and Cena trips him, sending him into the downed ring post that Ricardo is laid on. Cena takes apart the ring steps now and throws them, but Del Rio moves. Del Rio drops Cena on the floor and wells away. Del Rio slams Cena into the steps and grabs the other half. Del Rio charges and tries to ram the steps, kind of like the concerto. Well, it's the consteps into Cena's head. Well, because Cena got up, he only hit him right in the forehead, and I thought there was not allowed any headshots. Well, I guess that only goes for chair shots. Go figure. Cena makes it up before the 10 count. Once again, they trade shots and fight toward the entrance way and backstage into the backstage area. Cameras follow them, and Cena throws Del Rio into a table. Well, this was a set because Del Rio was climbing some type of posted steps, and Cena just grabbed him from the top, threw him through a table that they set up. Cena grabbed a very tall production cart and tipped it over, but Del Rio moved, and it sounded like landing on cardboard. Del Rio attacked and threw Cena on top of the tipped over cart. Del Rio slammed Cena on top of it, and the referee begins his count. Cena rolls to the floor off the cart. Del Rio tips over the structure that is on the background of the backstage interview set. Del Rio tips over all 4 tall steel structures that basically ain't doing nothing because the lights are on the floor. For some reason, the referee isn't counting while Cena is down. After the 4th structure falls on top of Cena, the referee begins counting. Cena starts to move and makes his way from under the pile of steel which is only kind of like aluminum, as these things are actually like plastic, kind of like fiberglass type of things. So fake. Well, after the referee, Cena started moving and makes his way from under the pile of steel to his feet. Del Rio takes the fight up a hallway and back into the arena as the crowd pops. Cena and Del Rio trade shots on the concrete by the entranceway. Ricardo runs over again and jumps on Cena's back. Del Rio whips Cena and he crashes through one of the V pieces. As you seen it, that also looked like cardboard paper going through it. On the Vengeance set, Del Rio sets a table up and lays Cena on top of it. Del Rio climbs up the high on the set, which was only maybe 6 feet in the air, and then Cena grabs him by the back of his shorts and pulls him down, and he goes through the table, causing him to crash down through the table. The referee starts counting, but Del Rio makes it up. Cena fights Del Rio over towards the crowd in production area. They go through the fans and back to the ringside area. Del Rio blocks Cena and throws him over the announcer's table. Cena blocks Del Rio and throws him hard into the fan barrier. Cena takes out Ricardo again. Del Rio shoves Cena into the steel post. Del Rio goes for the kick to the head, but Cena moves and he kicks the ring post. Cena puts the steps back together and drags him over to the Spanish announcer's table, taking it apart. He walks up the steps that he set up in front of him. But Del Rio's shoulders first with an attitude adjustment through the table. Cena hits on Del Rio from the steps, crashing through the announcer's table. Miz and R-Truth come running down for the interference and beat down Cena in the middle of the ring. Miz hits Cole's crushing finale, and Truth hits his finisher. The referee was watching it all, so it hasn't started counting Del Rio out yet, but he does end up double counting him. Del Rio gets up as the referee starts counting. Maybe he gets to like 4 or 5 down in the ring. Cena actually gets up before the count as the match is still on. Del Rio rushes in the ring and hits Cena with the title belt. Cena and Del Rio are both down now as the referee starts counting again on both of them. Del Rio gets up, clutching the fan barrier, while Cena can't make it up before the 10 count. Well, there was a couple of fans, older folks in the ring, at ringside, in the audience. They were actually either trying to help him up or patting him on the back, whichever, or it kind of looked like it was helping him up, to help Del Rio stand up. Winner of the match, Alberto Del Rio. Last man standing after the match. Del Rio has his hand held raised high with the WWE title while Cena tries to recover in the ring. Vengeance goes off the air with Cena looking dazed in the ring like he's drunk. And Del Rio is still clutching the World Heavyweight title belt. Thanks for viewing. That ends the Vengeance pay-per-view. Have a nice weekend until Monday Night Raw tomorrow night. See y'all then. Or y'all can see me then.